This call may be recorded for coaching purposes.
Hi, everybody. We got a couple minutes. I'm gonna wait till more people sign on. Be right back. All righty. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And today's session 7 is the last of our training sessions. The final session next week is kind of show and tell and more lab work. It's really to help you guys show what you created today. Last week we did drill throughs into child reports from dashboards, and nobody really had anything available to review, but I just wanted to open up today. I think 2 weeks ago we did the drill throughs to dashboards, and we had an open session, and nobody really came anything, but we just worked on reports that people had that we needed help with. So are there any questions off of last week's call or any follow-ups? I'm going to be teaching today prompt pages and how to filter reports. We've gone through parameter prompts, hard-coded prompts, and now we're going to do a prompt page. So is there any questions or anything before we get started? Any requests?
Has the recording from last week been made available? Because I didn't see it, because I wanted to watch the bit about the pass-through query thing again.
Yeah, let me go into Gong right now and just I'll share it again. I believe I shared it. Right after class, as soon as I get it, I go in and share it.
Because I couldn't, maybe I lost in my email because I didn't see it come through.
Okay, well, we'll check one more time. Okay, you know, I didn't put it in the file, so it might not be shared. Yeah, thank you. I might have forgotten about it.
Well, it's like if you would do it at the end after class, then when you post this week's to do them both together. So
Okay, that sounds good. And typically I put 60 days on it. All right, well, let's go and get started. So what I'm going to do is, this is our test report for a beginner class. Now we've got some of these filtered for, hard-coded filtered for Europe. I've got some parameters filtered, or some queries filtered other ways. And what I want to do is create a prompt page that's going to filter for all of my visuals at one time, even if they have different queries. So this is about the most advanced thing that we're doing in the beginner class. And there is a wizard to help you for creating prompt pages. And I tend to create a parameter prompt because I deal with some complex reports. And I like to control the data on the front end before I build my prompt pages. I always build my prompt pages at the very end. So if I get what I want, I like it, I say, okay, now I want my client to be able to filter by any of the parameters they want, any of the, any of the org structure they want, locations, month and year. Then I go ahead and build a prompt page at the very end. Okay, so to get started, we'll just, I ran this from a file. There's no prompts in it, no parameters either. It's just all hard-coded. So first thing I want to do is I want to go back and check, and it looks like I've got 3 queries, okay? So if you click on the report button, it'll have a drop-down panel. It'll show you your pages. I have a test page and then my multi-page. Prompt pages, there's no pages yet. Queries, I've got 1, 2, 3 queries. And I do believe I have, I think I recall creating 1 query for every separate visual. Now the great thing about prompt is that you can filter multiple queries by the same prompt or parameter filter. So you can create a bunch of stuff that's different. You can create things from different modules. When you get to advanced, I don't want to touch base too much on that, but the advanced class learned how to build a data module, put data in from different modules into the same visual, and then filter all the different data package with the same parameters. That's what you guys are going to get, but right now we're just working off of a single module. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to identify which is which. Okay, so this is my query number 1. I'm going to redefine my query number 1 as my list report. So go to open up queries, and this is just general housekeeping. It's really important if especially the farther you get into reports and building, if you keep your names of your reports, the names of your pages, if you keep that all very tidy, it's very important. Now, if you guys are working on off of a chart, when you click on the chart, you're going to notice that there's no, if it's an older type of chart, that there's no box or section area for your query. It doesn't tell you where. Well, just open up the side panel by clicking on it. Then hover over it, and you'll see this outline of all your text items or data items. Just click in a white space there. That's a visualization data set. You can also look in your hierarchy. But that will show you which query it is. So this is going off the list as well. Okay. Maybe I did create all these off the same list. I don't know. Let's look at this. Click in the 3 boxes. Okay, they're all going off the list. All right, maybe I had some. This was going off of a list as well. What are my other queries? Calendar year. I think I know. Calendar year. This may have been I forget where I created those other queries for. But I'm just going to clean these up. I'm just going to delete these. This makes things easier. All right. Oh, that's right. The test page is what I copied a list view over. So let's go and look and see what we've got in our query and what filters we've already created for this list report. We've got level 0 by geography. Incident record status equals active. Okay. Personnel type, we've got our hard-coded filter that typically you always want to have. Level 1 is Europe. Calendar year is 2018. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to create, we don't have any filters for location. So I'm going to create a filter for level 0 so you can change your reporting structure, right? Because if you're fairly new, you probably only have one level 0 in your reporting structure and then a testing. As your program grows, you're going to want to have different organizational, like maybe one is by geography, another node, or enterprise structure, upper level, level 0 would be, say, by business unit or by operating unit, or it could be a reporting structure for a specific module. Like sustainability might have a different structure. So anyway, point being, you always want to make a level 0. I'm going to tidy this up again by putting my hard-coded filters on the top. So I've grouped my three filters that I have already. So I'm going to create these 3 filters in my prompt page. Now, I want to Control-Shift, click all of these. I'm going to disable these, okay? Because I want to leave them there so when we come back to look in your query to see the filters we've created in our prompt page are going to line up with these 3 filters, okay? So now let's go to our report, click on prompt pages. It's going to open this window. Okay, it's totally blank. If you click on your insertable objects up in the left-hand corner, you're going to see tools and you're going to see page. Just drag a page in or double click on it. And then open it. You can either right click on it, click edit, or double click on it. Okay, so now this is your prompt page canvas, blank canvas. Looks very similar to a report page, right? Only different thing is it's got this built-in footer that has some commands on your prompting. Reason why it has next, that goes to a second prompt page in case you wanted to build, different prompt page for different pages in your report. Finish would run your report. Cancel would cancel the prompt page or prompting. Back will go through between pages. Typically, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to delete this and I'm going to create my own button because it's back and next and going to get confusing. Okay, so the thing that we are going to do to get started is what I tried to teach you before in our report is to create a table. And that table is going to house our prompts. And so also I'm going to hide or house any functional buttons or like run the page, reprompt to push values along. We're also going to have labels. We're going to have instructions. So you always want, if I've only got 3 prompts that we're working on, level 0, level 1, actually we can do 4. We can do location as well, or multiple locations, and we're going to do by year, okay? So that's 4 prompts. So I usually try to, and I'm going to put those all in one row. So I usually double the amount of columns per items I have in a single row. So that would be 8 columns. And I usually include a row on top for a block, a row for a title, and then a row for my prompts, another row on the bottom, and then more rows if I got prompts. Anyway, I'm going to create it with four number of rows, and I'm going to show you how. Now you can do maximum width, but this really spreads out your prompts across the pages, so I don't add that. I'll just click OK. So this is a table. I always like having my prompt pages centered. So we center this. And you can always put a title in, just double click on it. And this is prompts for class report. If you want to give instructions, you call it whatever you want. You can give it whatever kind of messages. You can put text items, you can build messages, you can join these together. You can really get creative with your prompt page. You can create, just like anywhere else in your reporting, you can change the font, you can color it, do whatever you want. Okay, so first off, we're going to create a prompt for level 0. Now remember, level 0, you always want to have a mandatory single select filter for your data, because as I said before, you can get multiple level 0s for different kind of reporting requirements. And if you have multiple select and you collect several, you could have the same location in multiple level 0s. That's going to double, triple, or quadruple your data, depending how many locations, how many org structures that location is in, right? You're looking at data down a location or at any of the level structure. It's just going to multiply your data. So you always want to make a single select for your level 0. So what I'm going to do is going to go to my tools, my insertable object, click on the wrench, and go down to prompting. Okay, we've got a bunch of different prompts. I highly suggest you play with these: date prompts, time prompts, interval prompts, but mostly I stick with a date prompt if you want to do a date range, a value prompt if you want to filter off a parameter value in your report. And remember, we've got 4 of them. I've got level 0, 1, location, and year. I'm going to use a value prompt. Yep, gotta get sure you get in the box. Okay, now here is where I could use parameters that I've already created. You remember in our sample that I created parameter filters for our drill through child report. Okay, here, if I was using that report, I could use those parameters. And if I've got time at the end of today, I'm going to show you what that would look like. If I drop this down, there are none here. Okay. Actually, let me do that right now. I'm going to do this in parallel. Let me go to that, let me just go that drill through report. Here's my drill through recordables. Put this in edit mode. Okay, this is our drill through. Remember when we created all these parameters, these parameter filters, okay? Now here, this would be very easy for me. And I'm going to do this, I'm going to finish this at the end of the class, but I wanted to show you what happens if I put a prompt in. I go to existing parameters. I've got all these parameter filters I've already set up. So if you hard code these parameter filters in each of your queries, you can just come in and select them. You don't have to build new ones here. Okay, I'm going to show you what that means. Let's go to the fall report. Let's bring back our prompt value back in. Let's create a new parameter, and let's call this level 0. So what this is going to do, it's going to create a new parameter in my query, just like we created by hand previously in the drill through. But I'm going to have to define certain things on the front end. Okay? Let's go next. Data package item. So data package item, you're going to have to go through and pick the data package item that you want to filter. It'll be down, and there's no searching for it. Know where it is. Go to enterprise structure, location name. Now you can use location ID. It would speed up your filtering if you got large reports. And you might want to do that if you're building very large reports and you have a lot of data. But and I'm going to go ahead and do that, okay? Because I want to show you the next step in case you need to. The operator equals equals. Okay, the equals is for single select. Okay. In is for multiple select. In range is what you would use for a single point, like a date range. If you're creating a date filter, this is what you would do. And I might throw in a date filter at the end if we have time. So in this case, we're using level 0. Okay, parameter 0. Make filter optional, no, don't check that. It's got to be mandatory. And then we click next. Okay, now we have to create a new query. And this query is going to be level 0 prompt query. Okay. And the data items going to be in that query are what we already have, which is, if you hover over it, you can see. I'm going to blow my screen up a little bit. If you hover over it, you can see what data item it is. Now, if I would leave it here, and I just get a bunch of numbers that I would have to select, okay? If I am using the value to use, what this means is this filter is going to be querying your data package, okay? All the data you have in the application that's associated with the data items that you have in your query, okay? Now, it's going to only pick out and display certain values. So it's looking for matches to that ID. Now, the reason why the ID is faster is because there's 4 digits to that level 0 ID. Now, you could have a name for level 0, which is Acme Plumbing Company Sustainability Package. Okay, that would be called your level 0. So that has about 30 or so different characters. And they're alphanumerical characters. They're the alphabet. So there's 26 different possibilities for each unit. So you got this huge string of data you've got to ask the computer or our servers to search for and make matches to. Okay, it's not just searching, it's matching data based on all of those. If you just use a 4-digit number that has 10 permutations, 0 through 9, it is going to run, 100 times, 1,000 times faster. And that means a lot. It could run 10,000 times faster. Because it's raised to the power each time you look. Just think of the numbers crunching in the background in your data processors. It's a lot easier to run off of a level ID. Okay, level IDs can be a little bit confusing, especially when you're working and you're just trying to preview data. It keeps asking you for a level ID. You don't know where it is. So that's why I always do it at the end. Okay. Anybody, does that make sense to everybody? Does everybody have a question on that, of why you use level ID? And then display, you're going to display in your prompt the actual name. So if you've got a question, let me know. And we're going to go level 0 name. Okay, is what we're going to display in our prompt. Okay, now cascading source, there's none yet. When we get to level 1, we're going to cascade from level 0. And we are done. Okay, so we've got this little prompt box. It's highlighted. So you have a different, whole new set of properties. Again, you've got more selections and values you can look at. You're looking at your query. This is level 0 prompt query we created. Value label, use value is ID, display value is name. Now required is yes, multi-select no. Now this is the UI. This is something you want to change unless you want a drop-down value. Okay. Now I'm going to run this. I'm going to show you the drop-down value, what it looks like. So these are drop-down values. You go down and you pick which one you want. If you like that, stick with that. If you don't like that, there's some other options. You have a list box. Okay, it blows up here. HTML. Now list box aren't bad. These are my second favorite. But if it's a multi-select, you have to go Control and hold. But this is single select. I don't like that one either. I like this one. I like the radio button group. Okay. You run this, and if it was double multi-select, you could select several of them. You can check which ones you want. You tell they're selected. Just really preference. Okay. Auto submit says no. Okay, so if you don't auto submit and you've got cascading values, it's not going to push the values into your next prompt. So there's two ways to do it. You can select yes, auto submit, or bring in a prompt button. I prefer bringing in a prompt button. I'll get to that next. So auto submit, no. We're going to bring in a prompt button. Cascading source, nothing defined. Pre-populate, no. You might want to put yes here. That's if you want to see the values in there before you prompt for the cascading source. Hide adornments, no. Range, no. Default selections. All this stuff you can leave blank. Doesn't really matter. Sorting is important, but not only when we get to the year. I'll show you the sorting. Doesn't really matter here. All right. So we've shown you the values that popped up. Shown you this. We're going to click on this, and this is going to be next. I want to build a reprompt button that's going to load my values for level 1. So reprompt doesn't really mean much to your users. So I type in a couple of arrows for load whatever's next, level 1. You put arrows in, and you have to make this self-explanatory. Basically, it says, click this button to get the values in your next prompt. So you also might want to put in a text item that explains, select enterprise level. I usually just put level 0. Now, this could be region. This could be business unit. You select BU, select, typing's not so good today. Could be your BU, could be your function, it could be your, by geography. So select level 0. And select level 0, level. Right. So next we're going to create another value prompt. So one thing I want to pause here, and I want to show you the parameter filter it created. Now, in our wizard, if we had multiple queries, it would have prompted you for an extra phase to select queries. Okay, and I'm gonna create a dummy query just to show you that. But let's go to our query. Well, actually, the next one I have is you're going to have a level 0 query that will pop up. Okay, so what do we have here? Let me shrink this down a little bit. Okay, so what you can see is we have our 2 hard-coded filters. We've got the 3 that we parameter filters or hard-coded filters that we deactivated. And then we have this filter that just popped up. Now you have to hover over it to see what it's for. And this is why I usually create parameter filters. Because they're going to look like this, right? Or they're going to look like this query. They're a lot easier to read, a lot really to understand. You don't have to hover over it and tell me, well, that's a query. You may need to change it from a mandatory to optional if you're changing the requirements along your filters. So that's why I create parameter filters usually. But when you create a parameter filter from the wizard, it's always going to show up like this. Okay, it's going to show you the full string of information from your data set or from your data package. Okay, so let's look at this. We've selected this. It's required. It's what we want. Just wanted to show you that if you're creating a new parameter from your prompt page, it's going to stick in a new parameter into your query. All right. Now I'm going to move on a little bit faster. This is just, cruising along, creating a new parameter, create level 1. Next, package item, I want to use level 1 ID. Operator, we want to create in because it's multiple choice. Make the filter optional. Yes. I want that mandatory. Now this is where I was going to show you. We only want to use list because we create another query for level 0 prompt. You select this, it's going to throw an error. Okay. You can't really tell between the queries. But when you create a cascading prompt, you need to create it from a prompt page. If you create just parameter filters and then you run your report, they're not going to cascade from level 0 to level 1 to level 2. That's why they have prompt pages to begin with. Okay, now this query is going to be called level 1. I've got my location ID here. Excuse me, level 1 ID. I want to pick location or level 1 name. Cascading source, now I do want to create a cascading source at level 0. Okay. So we'll click finish. There's nowhere else farther to go. You notice this didn't drop up as a drop-down list because it's multiple choice. It does, you can't use a drop-down list for multiple choice. You have to use either from your selected UI a list box or checkbox group. So that's why when I've got single select and multiple select, I use the same box so it's consistent, right? It's just style points, I guess, right? Again, level 1, level ID, level name, UI, auto submit, no, cascade source level 0, that's good. That's your parameter. Everything's looking good. All right, so let's run this report. Now you can't run it from here. You can't click finished and run your report. You have to go up to your top to your run options, run HTML. All right, here's the beginning of my prompt page. See how it spreads out once you get values in. So I'm just going to go by geography, load level 1, North America, and click finish. Hey, got North America. That works great. Now you can see what that does. If you run it from here, it opens a new browser. Don't try to run it again. It's not going to give you the option. You can save this as another report. Just be real careful. You're not getting too confused about getting too many browsers open. Now you don't have to delete this if you're testing it, looking for data and going to fix something. You can come back and run it again. Let's run it again, and we'll pick more selections from our level 1s. So let's do Europe and North America, and then finish. Okay, now we've got Europe and North America. Okay. And page down, you can look at other, get your cross tab. And this only has it by location. Okay. All right, so I'm happy where we are so far. Now we're going to move on. We're going to do location, and we're going to do year, right? Okay, so let's give this a title first. Sorry, I'm going to mute my phone. I forgot to mute it. Starting. All right. So remember, we want to create this prompt button for our next cascading. You don't have to create it to the next prompt if you're not going to do a cascading value. We want to cascade from level 1 to location. I don't think there are existing parameters already. There's an existing parameter. So you do have level 0 and level 1, but you don't want to use those because they're, it doesn't make any sense. We want to create a new parameter, a new filter. So you want to create your new parameter. If you would pick that, you get an error in your report wouldn't run. Package item, location details, location general, location ID. Okay. Equals. It's going to default to equals. Don't forget to put in. You can come back and fix it, but you'd have to fix it in your properties, in your prompt page, and also fix it in your query by manually deleting the equals and typing in an in. This is optional. Now I'm just querying, I'm just filtering my list query again. This is going to be called my location. Now I've got location ID. Select location details. And remember, I'll use location code. Cascading source, level 1. Finish. Don't like list box, like checkbox groups, auto submit no. Everything else is good. All right, so next I'm going to go to, now I don't need a reprompt button. Oh, good catch. I didn't change this from next to reprompt. Right? And I want to put a text box in as all right. So lastly, I'm going to put, actually, because I know I'm going to need the blocks to make it look good, I'm putting in a block and size and overflow. I'm going to make this width 30. Oops. Okay. I'll show you the spacing why later. And it's probably going to need to be wider than 30. I want the spacing to look nice. I always like, you know, my prompts to show up well on the prompt page. Prompt value, I'm putting it in. Okay, so now we're going to create for the year prompt. Data package item, time information, year. Operator equals equal. I want to make it multi-select, so I select in. Make filter optional, no. I want this to be mandatory. Next, it's going to filter just my one query. And it's, I don't need to put a value to display. It's just going to send the year value. I'm not going to cascade this one. So we finish that. Now, this is going to look funky, but we'll go ahead and we're going to run it, and I'll show you how to sort it out. Okay. Calendar year prompt. Now we're going to come back and sort it after I show you. Select the list box, checkbox group. All right, let's run it and see what we get. Save it. We're in a good spot. Okay. In my level zeros, I didn't put a title up and location. Now, these are all messed up. We're going to fix that. Okay. 2 things you need to do. So I'm, you know, just pick one of these. And then you can pick these. You can test these if you want. But this is what I need to fix because I want to pick a couple years. They're all out of order and they make no sense. Okay. So what happened in there, my year prompt, it's got calendar year and it's not associated to any other values in the query. So it's just showing a bunch of numbers. Now what we need to do, we need to associate, and this time information, just think of this as calendar date labels, okay? it's not associated, these aren't associated with any values until you state it in the query. So I want to make the calendar year values associated with my incident year. I just drag this filter in. Now, I could have used my common details, the incident date details, year of incident, okay? And I wouldn't have had this issue. Now what's going to happen is that 2050 are going to turn away, the 1900s are going to turn away, but we're going to have one other challenge. Okay? Well, now the date is right, but it's upside down. I don't want to have to scroll down every time to get to my current year. Okay? So I'm going to reverse the sorting order from ascending, low to high, top to bottom, to descending, high to low, top to bottom. How do I do that? Back to your prompt page. Find my year prompt. Label. Keeps going back to the beginning. Okay. It's my year prompt. All right. Select on it, and in your properties pane, you'll see in your data, the display values, query, data formatting, sorting. This is where I need to sort it in reverse order. So what I do for my sorting, just like your month number sorting, I'm not sure if I showed you that. If you want to sort a list or a group of data by value, go to your sorting list in. Now it's going to automatically show ascending, which has an arrow going up. It doesn't really make sense because it's going from low to high, going down. It's a bit of an anomaly. Just change the polarity there, and it's going to be descending. That meant that meant ascending. This means descending, but it's transverse when you look at the data, right? Go figure. All right, now let's look. Run your prompt, HTML. All right, so this is starting to look pretty good. I'm going to clean this up, but let's run it. So your years here are all correct in order. They look nice. Let's run this again. And let's just run it for this year. See what we get. I'm also going to get rid of this bar, but I'll show you how to do it. All right. So looking here, looks like this came out of sorting. That's all right. We can fix that. Here we're showing 2021, just the data. Here's the rolled up data. We're looking good. So our prompts work, right? This guy's sorting. Show you how to sort that also. It's the same technique. See, this is the trouble you get into when you're using the level 0 IDs. Let me get around that. Just put it in preview page. Now, if you want to outsmart that, I'll show you how to do it. Okay. Let me get to this first. Let's look at my month name, calendar year. I don't really want calendar year, so I'm going to cut this, the month number. I want that out. Now I want to, in my bars, I want to where sort order sending. How did I do that? Oh, I know. Sort order. Go ascending. Save it. And that will sort out those values. So how do we get, it'll come out that sorting went away for some reason. How do we get past that issue of, once you create your filters, having to remember what the ID is, okay? What you're gonna do, you're gonna save your report and close it. Now we're gonna go back home, gonna reset, we're gonna run it again. Just click on it from here. Now, when you do that, you run your report, before you put it into edit mode, it's gonna save your prompt values into your, it's going to cache your values into your, it's going to cache your values, it's going to save your values. So if you do go to edit mode, and then you switch, say, to a query, your list query, and then you want to delete these, okay, because I want to keep it tidy. I don't want somebody else coming here working on it and getting confused. I want to go look at my values again on my page. It's going to cache your values. It's not going to ask you again for those prompts, okay? Now this guy, month name, why is this sorting? I want to move. This may be because of I think it's because of the chart I selected. Yeah, I remember having gone over that. I just picked a bad value for that, for this chart, for a bad visual type. All right, so that is how you create. Oh, there's a couple more things I want to do in that prompt page, right? Let's work on some formatting here. So I want to get rid of this bottom bar. So go to prompting. Let's bring in a prompt button. I'm going to put it in the center down here. I'm going to make this finish, so I can delete my I don't like those bottom pages. The excuse me, the footers for the prompt pages. Personal preference. I was like in here saying run report. It's much more self-explanatory. Okay, what I like to do here is center these values, get everything tidied up, center this. I like to, now I'm going to give some conditional, I'm going to do some color formatting of my labels. So I'm just going to create, let's just create a basic blue text. I'm going to do bold color. I'm going to create a white. I'm going to give it a 12-point font. Click OK. And I want to center that in the middle. Now I really like that. I want to create these other 3 labels. So pick up all styles with your eyedropper. Remember that. Control and click. Click your eyedropper. Okay. Prompt beginner for classes. Text, let's make this bigger. So let's make it stick out. foreground color, I'm going to call blue. All right, let's see what our prompt page looks like now. All right, looks pretty good. I could expand that block I put in here. It looks a little bit better. Notice when I ran it, my selections, they will be remembered here. Now, so there you have it. That's how you create a prompt page for your visuals and reporting by using Prompt Wizard and new parameters. Does anybody have any questions, or should I do the same one more time using the parameter filters that I've created here? Yep, I got plenty of time, so that's what I'm going to do. Thanks. So the other way to do it is creating a prompt page. And I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I haven't showed you this, but I'm going to insert some rows below. Number of rows, let's go 8, click OK. It's a good insert function. Now I'm going to create some parameter filters here based off of things that I've already got created, okay? I'm going to go in, I'm going to use my existing parameter. I'm going to select, we only had level 2 in location, right? I'm going to click level 2. Next. Level 2. And this is off of level name, so we're just going to leave that. No cascading source. We're going to finish. So it's a little bit quicker. Okay, you've already got it in there. I'm always going to select this. And this is going to pick up multi-select because I had in my query created this parameter filter as in, okay? So it's multi-select. So I didn't have to select that, or it was already predetermined. Same with location, it's going to be predetermined. I don't have to select that equation, right? Here too, though this is current in, that's multi-select, multi-select. So they're all going to be multi-select. So that is how you create new parameter filters. You create, prompt filters, prompt page filters using existing parameters. I'll create it again with location. Next. Location. The display here is going to be location code. We're good. Cascading source, level 2. And then finish, you're done. You don't have to select what type. So those are 2 ways to create prompt page. One from scratch using the wizard while disabling your hard-coded prompts. And second is by using parameter filters you've already created. So if you want to go ahead and run this just to check, I'm not going to make it anything fancy. Okay, so what have you noticed here in this prompt? This query isn't pre-filtered. I'm glad I did this. This query is not pre-filtered by my hard-coded selections in my report filter. Let's go to my query number 1, my report filter. I've got these 2 filters. Level 0 by geography, level 1 by North America. Okay. Those filters did not get passed through to my prompt values. So how do we do that? Let's copy these 2 parameter filters. Copy. let's go to our queries. Level 2, paste. Now they're there. Now what I got to do is I have to pull in, I think I have to pull in these two values. Doesn't hurt. Level 1 name, level 2. Okay. Now I run. See how it filtered? But I didn't have a prompt button. Now what if I make this auto submit? I'll show you the auto submit button. That's good. I get to show you a bunch of new stuff. Okay. So in this prompt, let's do auto submit. Problem is I don't think I can choose auto submit when it's multi-select. No, it's not going to let me do that. So what would I have to do? I'd have to throw in a prompt button, call that reprompt. And these are cascading. Yep, level 2. It's taking a little bit longer time because it's not searching by ID. There's not a whole lot of data in here, so it didn't take. I could notice a difference. I don't know if you guys could. It matters a lot when you are pulling large bunches of data, like detailed reports. If there's a lot of query calculations going on, you can take a report that takes 10, 15 minutes to run and run it in a minute or two, or instantaneously. It really matters that much using ID. Okay, so that is all the training that I have for the beginner class. This last class, this was pretty advanced, okay? It's pretty much using, and hopefully you remembered everything that we did from creating your reports, defining what queries are, hard-coded filters, working in your detailed filters, using the different tool items, using parameter filters, how those work, either in a drill through. It's a lot to grasp, I get it. The key is with this always is the more you work on it, the more you retain. So I'd like to open it up today for any questions. I can go over again. I can redo something, rebuild something if I lost you, or if you have things that you want to share, show and tell, or you've got personal reports you're working on that you're having a hard time. I'm available now for the next hour to take any questions. And if you don't, that's okay. And next week, the assignment is for you guys to create a report with a prompt page and share that, and I can work through any issues. I understand this is high level, but these prompt pages are very handy and necessary if you're creating a report that requires you to filter in a different way for different consumers. Any questions? No, we're good. Hey, thanks to everybody for joining. I hope that wasn't too high level for you. Please ping me if you've got any questions. I got a chat. Last week I have is so I don't have one from last week either. Okay, yeah, I am going to do that after I get this 7 in. I forgot last week to get 6 out. I apologize for that. All right, anybody else have any questions? Yes, no, going once, going twice. All right, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.